see, what do I want to talk about today? Well, I'm having issues with my computer. I'm not entirely sure where the problem is coming from or really how to go about solving it. My keyboard likes to cut out on me randomly, but that problem may have cleared itself up. We'll see. I have two NVIDIA GPUs, GTX 660s, in SLI. Beta driver 344.80 seems to have maybe resolved an issue I was having with that. The issue being from any driver after 344.11, I could not have SLI enabled and play any games at full screen, which kind of sucked. I could play them in windowed mode, but I could not play them in full screen mode. Really weird. Disable SLI, perfectly fine. Roll back to 344.11, perfectly fine. Beta driver 344.80 seems to have fixed that issue. If NVIDIA is releasing drivers that aren't compatible with all of their current video cards, include, the 600 series, 700 series, and the 900 series, then that just sucks, because I don't want to have to upgrade before I really have to. My 660s do wonderfully fine. I have no viable complaints as to their performance. I've had them going on almost 2 years, and sure, I'm not able to play every single game at maxed out settings in 1080p, but I'm okay with that as long as I can do at least high settings. I can, ultra or maximum or whatever they want to call it. I'm fine with not going to that level. And if I can play on high without massive frame dropouts or easy there, guy, or stuttering, tearing, things of that nature, I'm fine with not being able to play at maximum settings. Some people are not fine with that. They have to play at maximum settings. More power to them. They have a much larger budget than I do. But, I'm a gamer, but kind of leaning towards the casual side right now, because I don't have as much spare time to play video games as I used to have. There was a time whenever I would just sit down and play games for the entire weekend, and every single moment whenever I got home from work. Now I'm catching up on TV shows that I do enjoy, animated and live action, the same. I am going out and doing things on the weekends, whether that's shopping around for home improvement items or just going out with Shelly, my girlfriend, and spending the day with her. Granted, a lot of time here recently, it's mostly been us spending time with each other while going out and browsing home improvement items. Around next tax time, which luckily is after CES, I will probably look into upgrading my computer, doing another complete rebuild from the ground up. We'll see. It really depends on what happens at CES. If NVIDIA is going to be releasing Haskell next year, I might wait until that's released. If they're going to wait until the following year and just do another Maxwell refresh this year, or this coming year in 2015, it's currently December 5th, 2014. If they just recently launched Maxwell in September. That's the GTX 970 and 980. And I'm sorry for all of the buzzing you're hearing. I don't know who's texting me or what is going on. That would be an email. Let's see. A lot of people are speculating that there's going to be a 980 Ti. I don't think there will be, as there really isn't a need for a 980 Ti. The current 980 is absolutely phenomenal, according to reviews. Obviously, I don't have one. It is way outside of my budget for a single graphics card. If I'm going to spend $600, I'd rather pony up an extra $50 and get two. And especially with 970, it doesn't have as many shader units, but it does have the same amount of video RAM. It has the same exact bus. Basically, it has about 90% of what the 980 has for almost half the price. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Why spend twice as much for 10% more, 10 to 20% more performance? My 660s, unfortunately, operate about 50% of the performance of the 970. And that's only if the game actually utilizes SOI. If it doesn't, then I am way outmatched. I am at about 20 to 25% of the performance of a single 970 with a single 660. It's pretty sad. But at CES, they will probably announce that they are going to be releasing the 8GB versions of the 970 and the 980, which is really what I'm wanting to hold out for, because with content creation, the more video RAM you have, the better. But it also comes down to what your overall system is able to do. Like Premiere, the software on that, even though it's 64-bit, it really isn't going to eat, even whenever you set it to render with hardware instead of software. At least in my experience with my 660s, whenever it was rendering a few things, it very rarely would go above a gig. on both cards, meaning it was using a total of 2 gigs, which is one of the most intensive parts. So now with Premiere, whenever you go to export it, that becomes very CPU and hard drive intensive, and it will use every ounce of your CPU to do it as efficiently as possible. Some people will say Intel is the best for that type of things, and I'm sure the i7 would perform better than my AMD 8350. But I don't have an i7. They are way overpriced, especially in multi-threaded situations. If I remember correctly, in a multi-threaded situation, an i7 4790K, I think, is only about 25% better than an 8350. I could be wrong. Probably am wrong. But still, charging more than 25% of the cost of the AMD 8350, which is around $200. That's stupid. Even the i5 4690K, which is comparable in performance on multi-threaded situations. Single-threaded performance-wise, both of those, hands down, smoke the AMD counterparts. Top tier i5 and top tier i7 smoke the top tier AMD. But having said that, just because you have 8 cores or 8 threads does not mean you're going to be doing better than somebody that's using 4 cores and 4 threads. It's all about optimization, and multi-threaded applications, or the applications using multiple threads, are still just getting used to using them, and so they're not as well optimized as everybody would like for them to be. I'm going to be upgrading to the Intel platform after CES, once I know what's going on, because whenever you upgrade just because new technology drops, that's not always the best thing to do. Yes, I'm running on 5 to 6 year old technology, but it still works really well, not as well as the newer technology, because I'm missing out on newer instruction sets and profiles. But point in case, some people had an i7 4790K, and then Intel released their Extreme processors for the Haswell line, and those, if you get the top tier of the Extreme processors, you're looking at a $1,000 processor. You could just as easily buy the lesser one and been just fine. Still use the new platform, just not go all the way to the max and be underutilizing it. It'd be like going out and buying a Ferrari and never ever driving over 55 miles an hour. If you're going to be driving like that, you bought the wrong car. But the X99 platform is what it's called, and And for the people that went out and upgraded to that, okay, cool, you're adapting new technology early on. Unfortunately, you're going to be paying a premium for it. DDR4, you're looking at twice as much money for the same amount and sometimes slower speeds of the DDR3. Meaning you're buying 2 4-gig sticks, so an 8-gig kit, an 8-gig dual-channel kit. Sure, the megahertz are faster, but the timing is way slower. So we'll use the 2133. It has a latency speed of around 16 to 17. Well, if you're upgrading from DDR3 1600 megahertz with a CAS latency of 9, that 2133, yes, it's DDR4, yes, it's 2133 megahertz, but it's actually slower than your DDR3 1600. And how you can figure that out is divide the 1600 by 9, divide the 2133 by 16, and you'll find out that the number for the 2133 is higher, meaning it takes longer. It actually performs slower than the DDR3 1600. Anyway, I'm almost to work. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.